The red pill fandom is exactly why women are stepping away from men altogether and kind of leading more into bisexuality, or we're seeing this big shift where women are overwhelmingly having their needs met by other women instead of men. And it's because men, especially those who are like, I want a traditional setup, which is like the overwhelming majority of the red pill fandom, don't really want a traditional setup because they're not a traditional man. These men accepted the propaganda that was fed to them, that they just had to be a provider and work and be good workers, and that's all they would ever have to do. And so what they did was they went out into the world and they attracted a bunch of masculine women who also fell for the propaganda, who also don't understand their own needs, okay? And they all formed these unionships, and that's why we see divorce is so high, cheating is so high, people are so miserable. Marriage is not what marriage is supposed to be. None of these things are traditional.
Be careful of people. Be careful of people that spew rhetoric that's not true. It's not rooted in facts. It's not rooted in anything. It's rooted in their opinion. It's rooted in feelings. Number one of the reasons why men are red pill is because all red pill is the truth. All it is unveiling the realities of what you'll deal with if you are faced with family court laws that obviously were created at a time where women didn't have the freedom to do what they wanted to do today, and they didn't have the same jobs, they couldn't choose for themselves and all of this stuff. And so it was created at a time as a protection for women. But now women are advocating against updating family court laws, even if it overwhelmingly favors them, or they can leverage it. And they understand that it's a system that is set up to financially extract as many resources as possible to uplift and keep a whole bunch of people employed. And it's not even for women, it's to make sure that lawyers, judges, all of these things are still in place. That's the reality. And so, for example, a guy that has worked his whole life, been very, very successful, why would he ever become a stepfather? Why would he ever, why wouldn't he be fearful of divorce instead of being excited to get married? Because believe it or not, most men want to get married. They do love women. They don't care about all of the extras, but they have to face the reality of what they would be dealing with, because you got to look at it from a business perspective. And women often at times by default, because they are hypergamous, they look at everything from a business perspective. They want the best available option. Why shouldn't men also do that, right? If women, for example, want to live the soft life and don't want to have to work and want to be able to be chill, because believe it or not, a lot of women want to be traditional also. They just fell for the propaganda and feminism. Most women would love to stay home and take care of their children instead of busting their ass and trying to compete with men while somebody in the daycare raise their children. We're so hard headed and disobedient. And so you'll listen to somebody that's bitter like this, try to make it seem like, oh, men just want to be. No, men want to love somebody that loves them back, and they understand that they got to trade in their time for money and go kill themselves a little bit every single day in order to make sure that their family is protected and provided for. And they just don't want you to talk shit all day and give them a hard time. And so men want to be men, women should want to be women, but we've all, had to face the reality that the more freedom you give people, the worse decisions that they will make. But they will preach this propaganda and say men ain't this and women ain't this. We all really want to love each other. You just got to face the reality of what you're dealing with in the streets. And then they'll say, well, these red pill men will pray. That just tells me that they don't even understand what red pill means. And I don't even consider myself a red pill content creator, right? I'm not creating content around red pill talking points. It's just the truth. It's just the honest to God truth. There's nothing else that you can say about it.
Traditional unionships, all of these things are wounded masculine energies and wounded feminine energies. And we are seeing men grow more and more bitter towards women because women are tired of having to coach and teach these men who don't want to listen.
Any woman that tells you that that she's gonna coach and teach you, just run, bro. That's a red. That whole woman is a red flag. It's not even red symptoms. It's a red flag that you need to run from. Let's hear more of what she got to say. And I also like to say that regardless of whether I agree with somebody or not, I always like to give credit to the content creators because it's just the right thing to do. So that link will be down in the description for y'all to be able to tap in and see what she's talking about if y'all want to.
a masculine man if you don't understand feminine nature. You can't be a masculine man if all you want to do is work instead of romanticize and dive deep into your woman and get to know her and all of those things. And even if you've gotten to know her, how do you expand off of that if you guys are committed to one another, right? Because like divine unionship, traditionalism, like people don't cheat. People are obsessed with each other. Divine unionship, divine masculines, divine feminines, when they're connected in the 3D, the 4D, and the 5D. Those of you that are in these fucked up relationships or left fucked up relationships and don't want to heal, like those are your karmic relationships. And you're trying to make peace with them, and it is stripping you of the very things that you think you want in a traditional. A lot of your guys' hands while I say this. When it comes down to cheating, that's not a man thing over a woman.
Hey, why do all women that are overly masculine and have these same talking points, why do they have this nasally sound? Like, it reminds you of somebody, don't it? If you just close your eyes and you listen to her, she reminds you of somebody. I'm not going to say who, I don't really care about it. Let's continue to talk.
That's a broken human thing, okay? Because people who are emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually happy and content, they don't cheat. That's why everyone always talks about a honeymoon phase. It's not a honeymoon if you make the honeymoon your entire life. It's not love bombing if...
Is she married? Because as a person that has been successfully married, and you guys know what my relationship like I live my whole life online. I don't have any secrets whatsoever. I'm wondering, is she married? Is she successfully married, and has she been doing it for well over a decade? As a person that has been successfully married, and again, it's a difference between being married and being successfully married, for almost 21 years, I can tell you that she absolutely, positively don't know what the fuck she talking about.
Love and bombing is consistent, right? But what we see is a whole bunch of people who are not really in love. They're in karmic situations, or they've accepted some type of propaganda. And so by the time they get into it and get comfortable with it, or they start to deconstruct it, they realize that's not really what they want, because it's not traditionalism. And none of it makes sense. It doesn't sit right with the human spirit, and it doesn't sit right with the human. Because when you look at the idea of divine masculine and divine feminine and unionship coming in together, those people are fucking obsessed with each other. And why is that? Because it knows no bounds. You're connected in the 3D, the 4D, and the 5D, right? And a lot of times when it comes to like spiritual fulfillment, a lot of men specifically have been pussyfooting and running from their emotions for so long that it triggers them when they are introduced to something that brings that spark back to life, instead of them just being a good ass fucking worker. And again, wounded feminines, they rely on this idea that men are supposed to be good workers and providers, because women have had to consistently rely on men for relevancy in a society like this that's built in sexism. At the end of the day, it has nothing to do with traditional gender roles. It has to do with traditional balancing of energies. It has to do with understanding yourself. It has to do with development. It has to do with walking away from things that don't serve you. It has to do with literally changing the way that you have always lived your life, because it is no longer making you happy or giving you soul fulfillment. You know, it's always coming down to this male loneliness epidemic, but the reality is a lot of y'all just aren't fucking happy, and you're too ashamed to talk about things, or you don't have anybody safe enough to talk about it with, because you're either in a relationship that isn't working for you, or you continue to attract women that you're not actually fucking emotionally and spiritually attracted to. Okay? You need to put the red pills down, and you need to start deconstructing who the fuck you are at a spiritual and emotional level, and stop taking it out on women. And women, those of you that are in your wounded...
Listen, I got a news flash. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. This is a waste of time. Nobody is taking it out on women. You now get to hear what we really think about you when you are not moving in your purpose. And contrary to popular belief, people think that men are sitting at home lonely or whatever. And even if they are alone, that don't mean that they're lonely. And we don't give a fuck. Like, if we are in a relationship or we not in a relationship, if we doing stuff, if we not doing stuff, if we married, not married, we're going to be productive, happy, satisfied, and get to the results regardless. The majority of us, obviously, nobody is a monolith, so you can't say all, but the majority of us are cool. We chilling. We like our PlayStations. We like working. We like running a bag. We like cars. We like all of those things. And I think that more importantly, men need to stop focusing. Most of y'all have to stop focusing on women. They come along with it anyway. It really doesn't matter. Ain't nobody tripping. All of this anger, could you imagine sitting here? I couldn't do it, bro. I just couldn't do it. Nah, keep the red pill. Keep the reality that it'll save you. It's gonna save you your life. It's gonna save you, emotional distress. It's gonna prevent you from crashing out, and it's gonna save you a ton of fucking money by not making a bad decision because you are emotional and emotionally connected with your energies when you do it. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, teach Hanley 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Peace.